Alright, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Akeem and welcome to today's vlog. Continuing with all my draft grades for the 2013 NFL Draft, here to talk about the NFC North Division, and I'm here to give you the grades for each of these teams. Now I believe that second to the NFC West Division, I believe that the AFC North Division had the best draft class out of all the divisions of the National Football League. Now I'm going to start things off with the Baltimore Ravens. The best general manager in the National Football League, Ozzie Newsome, had another winning draft this season, starting with their first pick in Matt Elam out of Florida. He would definitely be that replacement for Ed Reed at safety. He's a great player. With Bernard Pollard and Ed Reed no longer with the team, he could still be an automatic starter for this position and become a big upgrade for that defense. With their second selection, they replaced an all Hall of Famer linebacker in Ray Lewis with Arthur Brown out of Kansas State. This kid was the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year last season, over 100 tackles. He has great leadership, good discipline, and the maturity, especially being coached under Bill Snyder from Kansas State. He had a decent career for the past couple of seasons in college football. Now he will not fill in the complete shoes of Ray Lewis, but this is a good stepping stone for the Baltimore Ravens. I do like this pick a lot. Ozzie Newsome did a great job with their first two selections, and they also picked up a couple of defensive players that has the potential to become stars. And Brandon Williams out of Missouri Southern State, he's coming from a small school, but he still had a great workout, and I think he could be in a good addition with Haloti Ngata. He could learn from the best defensive tackle in the National Football League. And also in the fourth round, they picked up a good defensive end out of Ohio State and John Simon, 14.5 sacks, 14.5 tackles for loss last season to go along with 9 sacks. Now in the fourth round, they also had a second pick in Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback out of Harvard. He's a great receiving fullback. I think he could be used more as an H-back / tight end at this position. They're going to find a way to use this athlete. And rounding up at the end of one of their latest draft picks at round 7, they picked up a good receiver in Aaron Melati out of Elon University. He had a great career over there, at over 4,200 yards receiving in his career. I think this could be a good late round draft steal for this year's draft. I think that Aaron is a decent player, but we will see. They need to replace a couple good receivers like Anquan Bolden. Hopefully he could be that guy. Now overall for this draft, I'm going to have to give the Baltimore Ravens an A. They did a great job coming off of the Super Bowl winning season. Next team you need to talk about is the Cincinnati Bengals. They also had a great draft. Starting with their first pick, it was a little bit questionable, but I understand why they picked this kid. Tyler Eifert out of Notre Dame. He's the tight end. He has great hands, good route running ability, and I think that this Bengal team is going to have a sick double tight end set with him and Jermaine Gresham, who had over 700 yards and 5 touchdowns receiving last season. I think this was a great pickup, and both these two players can work well together. In the second round, they picked up Giovanni Bernard. He was actually the first running back taken out of North Carolina. Very talented and all-purpose player. He could be an effective player as a return specialist as well. I like this pick a lot to go along with Benjarvis Green-Ellis. I think this could be a good running back tandem for the Bengals. Next pick I need to talk about, in the same round, in the second round, they picked up Marcus Hunt out of SMU. He had a great Senior Bowl week and a great workout headed into the scouting combine, headed into this draft. I think this was an excellent pickup. And also in the third round, they picked up a strong safety out of Georgia and Sean Williams. I think that was an excellent selection. And in the fourth round, they picked up another good defensive player out of Texas A&M, a good pass rusher in Sean Porter. They're loading up that defense, who had a great year last season, led by defensive tackle Geno Atkins. I think this defense is going to be sick coming up to the next upcoming seasons in the National Football League. Now in the late rounds, in the sixth round, they picked up 2 good offensive weapons in Rex Burkhead out of Nebraska and Kobe Hamilton out of Arkansas. I think both these two players are good late round draft selections. Rex Burkhead is going to try to get a couple of carries along with Giovanni Bernard and Benjarvis Green-Ellis. I think that could be a good trio at that. And I think they picked up a good receiver, another weapon for Andy Dalton and Kobe Hamilton, who had over 1,300 yards receiving this season. Alright, next team we need to talk about is the Pittsburgh. I forgot to give you guys the grades For Cincinnati, I'm going to give them an A-. Next team we need to talk about is the Pittsburgh Steelers, another A- class. I think they had a great draft class overall. Starting with their first round pick, they ended up replacing James Harrison with Jarvis Jones out of Georgia. Over 20 tackles for loss last season. He's an excellent pass rusher. Yes, he had a bad workout, but I think he's going to redeem himself and be a good linebacker. Still reloading everything that they have at linebacker position for the Pittsburgh Steelers. With the second round selection, I really like this pick a lot. At first, I was a little bit scratching my head with this one, but they ended up picking up a great player in Le'Veon Bell out of Michigan State University. I thought they had a good opportunity to pick up Eddie Lacy, in which I thought they should have went with, but then when I evaluated it a little bit more, I like this pick a lot with Le'Veon Bell. He's a great running back. He's the more bigger running back, and he's more like Jerome Bettis, who could give you that smash mouth football, Pittsburgh style. This was a great pick for Le'Veon Bell and Pittsburgh Steelers. Now in the third round, they replaced a great receiver in Mike Wallace, who is now with the Miami Dolphins, and they picked up Marcus Wheaton out of Oregon State. He's a great athlete. They will definitely find ways to get him the ball. He can give you some impressive numbers. And in the fourth round, they picked up a great missile-like safety in Shamarko Thomas out of Syracuse. Now he's going to be taught under the tutelage of Troy Polamalu, and I think he's going to learn a lot to become an effective defensive back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And rounding up one of the latest picks in the fifth round, they picked up a good quarterback out of Oklahoma in Landry Jones. He definitely should be that backup quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Possibly have the potential to become the starter for the Steelers in the later seasons when Big Ben is not working too well, when he gets older in age. So overall for this team, I have to give them an A-. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers had a great draft. Next, last but not least, the Cleveland Browns. Now they didn't have too much to work with this year's draft. They only had 5 picks, and only 2 of them before the 6th round. Now with their first round selection, they had a gamble at number 6. They picked a gamble pick in Marcavius Mingo out of LSU. He's a great pass rusher. I think they should have went with D. Milliner with this selection, but at the same time, I understand why they picked up Marcavius Mingo. I think he could become a dominant pass rusher in the National Football League. He does have the potential, but I think at the same time, this was a gamble pick, and the more for sure pick, I think, would have been D. Milliner out of Alabama. And in the third round, they picked up a cornerback out of San Diego State University, and Leon McFadden. He's a decent athlete. Now, in the later rounds, when their next pick was in the 6th round, they didn't have really too many good late round draft selections, so the only 2 valuable picks was at their first round pick and their 3rd round selections. But they did pick up a 3rd and 4th round for next year's draft. I think that's good at that. Also in the off season, they picked up Alex Gordon, a decent wide receiver who they have high hopes for, and they also picked up defensive end Paul Kruger from the Baltimore Ravens. So they've been doing a lot of work during this offseason, even though their draft class could have been probably just a little bit better, but they couldn't really do too much, especially only having 2 picks before the 6th round. Now because of that, I'm going to have to give this team a C+ for their efforts, but we will see. Hopefully these players in the late round draft selections, and particularly with Marcavius Mingo and McFadden, I think those were those 2 were their top draft picks. Hopefully they will have great potential and have great careers for the Cleveland Browns and even for their NFL careers. So overall, I'm going to have to give them a C+ at that. Now, next time I'm going to catch you guys is tomorrow, where I will finally wrap things up with all of my draft grades, talking about the AFC South Division. Catch you guys tomorrow. Thank you for watching today's vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.